Hey, Craig. So, we always are bouncing ideas off of each other, and we're always catching each other up on the business we've been doing lately. And I know that you've been working with some situations that we're all having to deal with in this market lately. Because I'm sure everyone knows who's watching this. It's a pretty brutal market out there right now, and you know you're always talking about, like, gap appraisals, using them, and things like that, which is a big topic. And I get a lot of my clients saying, first of all, what is even a gap? What is a gap? And
Yeah.
then I have to go through explaining it.
Yeah.
So, what is a gap and why is it important?
Yeah, like the appraisal gap coverage thing. And I can talk about it through like the lens of the seller, really, because that's where I feel like I end up talking about it the most. But basically,
Way to put it.
the idea is, the market rose so sharply earlier in the year, like March, April, May, that there really wasn't a lot of sales data, meaning comps, to support the prices that were getting thrown around. So you have a situation where you'll have an appraisal gap, appraisal shortfall is
Yep.
like the
Yep.
term you'd use. So, like, right, so the lender says, we can't support the price you offered. We can't lend you money based on that price point. This has gotten better now, but it's still like a hot topic. So for a minute there, it was kind of like the home inspection or the back on market tag, right? Buyers have so little leverage in this market. So let's say, the house is listed for 500 grand and a buyer offers 700 grand, and circumstances might be, if it doesn't appraise, the deal is probably going to die, and it's not going to appraise
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
when it's that far over. So really, what are we doing, if that makes sense?
Right. And the seller would be like, why would we even accept this deal?
Yeah, exactly. But they wouldn't know unless, like, you have to, like, inform them on this as an agent, right? Not everybody's so tuned into this stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um, can you go over just like the usual scenarios for the buyer in the case of an appraisal shortfall?
Yeah. So, like, if the appraisal comes in low, you basically have three choices as the buyer. One would be, you can make up the difference between purchase price and down payment, right? Number two would be, you can negotiate the price to match the appraisal, or meet somewhere. And then if
Compromise.
one or two did not work, you can back out and get your deposit back. I've been overly cautious. I've been putting appraisal contingencies in every offer, like, explicitly for a while now.
Um, so looking at it from the seller's perspective, as you said, let's say you're going through offers. How are you supposed to weed this stuff out?
That's the question. That's the question, and that's been the consistent difference in my area of the agents who are up on this, like up on the times, and the agents who might not be. So this is how it comes up. The appraisal gap, an appraisal gap clause can be put in an offer, and it's essentially a guarantee. And you want to get it in writing, by the way, that the buyer will cover the financial gap, the difference between the offer price and the appraised value. And by the way, it can be up to a point, right? So you can offer a $10,000 appraisal gap. So, offer is $650,000, right? And the appraised value is 640 grand, right? Buyer has volunteered to cover it so you can sleep soundly. If the
Mhm.
appraised, value comes in at 630, then we have to figure out what to do with this extra 10 grand, right? Is the buyer going to cover that? Are we going to meet somewhere? Is the deal dead? Is the seller going to come down, and accept the lower amount, right? In that case, it'd almost be like renegotiating to 640, and then the buyer can cover like the 630 to 640,
Yep. Yep.
like, if that makes sense. So there's a couple different ways to do it, but, like, as the seller's agent, as you're fielding offers, probably multiple offers, you need to vet the offers and track it down, right? So all you have to do is follow up and ask. Like, you'll find out where people stand.
Mhm.
It's actually really easy. So I had one recently, very, very aggressive offer, way over asking, no inspection contingency, all of that stuff. all of that stuff you hear in today's market. Appraisal was not addressed in the offer. I was paranoid because that's just how I am. I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, is this going to be one of those offers that you pretend you're going to blow us away and then say, here's the appraisal, come down, or we're gone, like, how it is as an agent, you sort of like live in paranoia with some of that stuff. And it's a gift and a curse.
Yeah. It's a good job for people who are insomnious.
Yeah, exactly. So, I enjoy, like, I'm sort of a night guy, right? So this is kind of just, I live in the paranoia. So like, in this case, I talked to both the agent and their lender, and they were like, yeah, no problem. It was that simple, right? Like they're ready to pay this price no matter what it takes, super smooth. So as an agent for the seller, I think it's important. It's just about understanding the dynamic, and it becomes, one of those like natural follow-up questions, sort of like, hey, to be totally clear, do your clients need to sell their home to make this work? That's how I've always, kind of viewed it.
And I think what you hit on were good points for both what the buyer should know and the seller should know.
Yeah.
One of the things you said was you just talked to the agent. A buyer's agent should always talk to the seller's agent.
Yeah.
You might be the one out of 30 offers where you actually talk to them, and that's building up a relationship, which is good.
Yeah.
Number two, I find when as you said, the paranoia kicks in. I also find a very important step as the seller's agent when you're weeding through all this is to definitely verify their funds.
Yeah.
Because if you're not willing to share that information, then they might not have the funds and they're just saying that anyway, but you want to make sure that they have those funds.
Yeah.
So you present a strong offer. Like, look, these 4 people are offering 50 grand over asking, but I can't verify it. These 2 people are offering 25 over asking, but I can verify their funds. Their bank was willing to talk to me, yada, yada, yada. This is probably the stronger offer, because sometimes the highest offer is not the best offer.
Yeah, exactly. And it becomes one of those best practices, sort of like as you're fielding offers, maybe calling the lenders, who wrote the pre-approval letters, all that stuff. I mean,
all that's important. Yep.
Yeah. And, to be honest, I'll probably try to cut it short here because I run the risk of like going on for another 20 minutes on that. So I guess, in an effort to wrap it up, moral of the story is just to have an agent or be an agent who is proactive and just ask probing questions. And it's really just like, I think what we were just talking about is pretty straightforward, simple communication. And I think that pretty much wraps it up on the appraisal. Yeah, on the appraisal coverage gap thing. Graham, we'll end with a plug here. He is Graham Sullivan of Connie Doto Realty Group in Methuen, Mass. Also works a lot in the Worcester County area. My name is Craig Power with Power Realty Advisors, serving Greater Boston and the South Shore. If you're watching this, it shouldn't be too hard to find our contact info, right? Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. Graham, you got anything to add to that?
No, just thanks for the opportunity. I hope we can do this again because I always have fun talking to you.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Thanks for watching, everybody.